Hi everyone, it's Mike Callahan from Four Leaf Properties. I want to talk today about the ever important topic of paper lots, entitled lots. What does that really mean? I think there's a lot of discussion out there, probably a lot of misnomers and misconceptions about what that means. So I'm going to define that, I think, from a developer's perspective today. Really, there's a top 10, and I've broken this down into approvals versus, let's just call, other types of analysis you need to do on land. First and foremost, it's obvious. You need to have zoning approval and you need to have a site plan. Site plan can be in fairly rudimentary form up front. It will kind of evolve over time. The next step is really water and sewer. And I could spend an hour talking about challenges with water and sewer these days, but suffice it to say that proximity of water and sewer to your site has absolutely nothing to do with whether or not you can actually get it entitled and use it. What we're finding over and over again is places where there's water next door, but there isn't pressure, hasn't been properly engineered. So again, proximity is really only part of the game. You have to go through the engineering process with the municipality to find out whether or not you can actually tap that line and whether or not there's capacity. Same goes for sewer. On the road side, again, find a lot of challenges with local municipalities who are very sensitive to the extra traffic. Typically, we're not building 100 or 200 unit communities anymore. We're building large 300, 400, 500 unit communities. They bring in a lot of traffic. That requires traffic studies, oftentimes turn lanes, things of that nature. Dealing with county roads can be challenging. Moving over then, once we have our approvals, we're really into the bread and butter of the engineering side. You've got to do a topographical survey. Well, why? Because you want to be able to balance out the land. You want to know at the end of the day, when you push all the high dirt over to where the low dirt is and you sort of level it all out, what's left? And it's becoming more and more difficult to get rid of soil. Back in the day, that was a positive. It's not anymore today. And so sometimes it's challenging to get rid of your soil, and of course sometimes it's challenging to buy soil. So that's a really important analysis on the front end. Geotechnical, unfortunately you got to find out what your soil is. You got to find out what your compaction standard is. You got to find out whether or not you can build on all of that land, and if you can't, what do you need to do in order to get it buildable? Environmental is obvious, phase one, hopefully not a phase two, but sometimes. And then you get into things like locally, wetlands and flood. We're seeing more and more issues with wetlands across the country, even in places like Texas. And this can be jurisdiction that's local or at the state level, depending upon where you are. So this can get pretty complicated. It could also go up to the federal level, like if you're in Florida and you're dealing with the Army Corps. And then you get into endangered species. Again, a lot of places in the country very sensitive to this. We just had a recent situation where we're going to have to spend $130,000 to get rid of some gopher tortoises in Florida on a really small piece of land. So this becomes pretty critical as well. So, I see this really as, this is the top 10. There can be a few more things, but it's absolutely critical, I think, as an industry that when we're talking about paper lots, that we start to have a definition of what that is. If you had a piece of property that had gone through this, you had gotten these approvals, you had done this engineering work, you'd be in a great position to monetize that property out to the market, even pre-permit, pre-shovel at that point, because you're really giving solace to that owner that they're going to get what they need. All right, thanks a lot.